Very good. So the first question, well, welcome and thank you for taking the time to talk to us today. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
How's your family coping through this difficult time? What are you guys currently up to?
I've got my 16-year-old's having a lunch break from school at the moment, and she's doing yoga on the mat outside. My son just got home. He's doing university, so he's about to start a class. He's 21, and my 19-year-old's having a gap year at home. So she's spewing, like gutted, but otherwise, all pretty good.
Oh, excellent. Well, that's awesome. It is a bit of a troubling time right now, so that's good. Do you have any advice, being a parent, for any other parents trying to keep their kids entertained at home? Anything that they can be doing?
Probably relax the rules a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's a big challenge, but discipline still is, you've still got to do the right thing. But, we were always pretty full on about screen time at our place, so especially when the kids were much, much younger. And I reckon now, so working from home, I'd probably relax that a lot. And I think, but also leave things around for them to do. So if there's a jigsaw that they can walk past and do that for 10 minutes, or a Jenga, or, and books, obviously. If there's books around, that would be terrific.
Excellent. I think all the parents are doing that now. I know as a mum, we're doing the same, relaxing a little bit and letting them do a little bit of fun as well. So, I think most parents are doing that.
Well, it's an interesting time because it's so families are actually spending lots of time together. So I've talked to a bunch of friends and they all go, this is actually really good for our family as a unit because we get to actually spend time together. It's forced, but it's actually not that bad. Everyone's going, hang on, I actually quite like my brothers and sisters. So it's good.
Yeah, I know my kids are quite enjoying the whole learning from home. They're really embracing it and enjoying having time to have a break and chill out. And so no, it's been really good. We've enjoyed it as well.
Yeah,
which is good. Growing up, what were your experiences with reading?
Well, look, I know I meant to say, listen, my books were my best friends, that we would curl up together at night. We rode push bikes a lot. We grew up in a semi-rural area, so we rode our bikes, we jumped our bikes, we made little, we dug holes and filled them with water and we jumped those, or we'd fill them with fire and we'd jump those, and then in the hole of water we'd catch tadpoles from the local dam and harvest them when they were frogs, and we just did dumb stuff, and the dumb stuff was the good stuff. And books, probably not until grade 6. I could read, but when I got to grade 6, which is when lots of boys actually stopped reading, I think that's when I started.
Oh, awesome. Well, I grew up the same. I grew up on a farm, so we were never inside. We were always out climbing trees, building forts, jumping on things, breaking things, and, having lots of fun.
Yeah, and it's funny because I was talking to Mum the other day, and she goes, God, all this hand washing. And I went, we never washed our hands. She never washed her hands. She never went, she'd dig in the veggie garden or something and come in and go, right. And then she'd go straight to cooking dinner. So there was we just weren't hand washers. So this is all quite new for us. Because if you're not a hand washer growing up, you're not. But it's very important to be doing it now.
It is, but yes, as you said, we grew up the same sort of time where we just play in mud and dirt and make sand castles or whatever, and then go straight in and eat our lunch. It's a very different world now.
Yeah, it is.
Very much so. Why do you think reading is so important?
Look, I know that reading gives an alternate reality that happens in your head as opposed to the screen in front of you. So, we can all read a story about, I don't know, you're sitting at the lights in a car and a sports car pulls up and then something happens. But the sports car's actually in your head right? So it's the color of it's in your head, the shape's in your head. Does it have a roof or does it not have a roof? All these sorts of things. So when you read a story, all that stuff happens up here, and we all create our own images. And like that's at a really simple level. I mean, I don't know. I wrote this story years ago about a boy who gets his first girlfriend, and then another boy says, you know, do you know how to kiss? And he's like, yeah.
We've lost connection.
Oh, have we?
Yeah.
Let's know when it comes
Oh,
back.
I think. Sorry, it lost connection there for a little bit. So
Okay,
imagine
so-
you were saying imagination.
Oh yeah, so your imagination. So everything happens. So when you read a book, everything happens up in your head, you know. So if you're reading a story and there's a sports car pulls up at the lights next to you, well, that sports car it's actually the color of it, the shape of it. Does it have a roof? Does it have a dog in the back? All those sorts of things. If they say there's a dog in the back, then it's up to your brain to work that out. And that's when you watch a screen, it just happens in front of you. But when you read it, it all happens here. And I wrote this story years ago about a boy who got a new girlfriend, and then this other boy goes, you know, mate, after school, he goes, so do you know how to kiss? And he's like, yeah. And he goes, well, you know, why don't you tell me? And the boy's like petrified. And the other boy tells him how to kiss. And it's absolutely ridiculous. But every time I read it to kids, they sit there like going, oh, God. And there's nothing, it says something like, he opened his mouth wide enough to fit in a cherry ripe, but not a Mars bar. So the kids sit there and go, oh, yeah, cherry ripe, yeah, Mars bar. Oh, there's nothing rude about it. It's just all happening in their heads. And that's what I really love about books. It's up here, not in front of you and being given to you.
Excellent. That's exactly how we interpret it. Now, can you give us 5 reasons why funny books are so good for kids or so important for kids?
Yeah, okay. It might not be 5, but it's at the moment. There's just so much seriousness, and there should be, but so kids need a break. You know, like we all need a break. So if we can have some good funny stories, because the sound of laughter it's sort of self-perpetuating. If I see my son start laughing, I'm like, oh, dude, what are you laughing at? So one is literally to make them laugh and to lighten the load, and it's an important load to lighten the moment. Another one is just to get them up and out and enjoying something completely different. So like if they watch something on telly that's funny, that's terrific. But again, if they're watching something on if they're reading it in a book and that's giving them a laugh, I think that's really, really significant. It changes the mood of everyone around them, and it sort of heightens their goodness, I suppose, their enjoyment of life. And that's really what we want as parents, is we want our kids to be able to sort of look back at their childhoods and go, oh, look, it was fun. And if a book can be part of that, and a book definitely can be, I think that's really important. So I just love the idea of funny books. Just give kids an idea to laugh and enjoy themselves and be reading at the same time. So it's educational and it's fun.
And if kids are enjoying it, they're reading and they're liking it and they're wanting to learn. So, yeah, it does make a big difference.
Yeah, and there's literally nothing wrong with laughing, you know? But laughing's actually, I mean, look, my teenage daughter, with the middle one, she said, I'll write a book to make me cry. She goes, you know, I want to have all the feels. And I think that's fantastic as well. But laughter, especially now, if we can give them something, because for kids laughing, like if, you know, I've got this new book, Atticus Fantasticus, it's loaded with parent jokes and kid jokes. So you'll get a laugh and the kids get a laugh as well. And so I think that's really, that's the guts for me.
Exactly. Like laughter is the best medicine, really, isn't it?
Yeah, that and
particularly in times like these.
Yeah, and washing your hands.
Oh, yeah, washing your hands and more washing and more cleaning.
Yeah.
What are you currently reading?
Oh, look, this is a weird one. It was a Christmas present, and I know it's March, and it's quite heavy going. It's called Babylon Days, and it's a journo now, but he was an old surfer, so he travelled around the world doing a surf trip, and it's just beautifully written, and the imagery is terrific. And so for someone who's writing at the moment about ships and waves and adventure, it's almost the perfect book to be enjoying. So It's called Babylon Days, and it's a beautiful book, but it's also it's doing all the things that I want, say, Atticus Fantasticus to do for your readers, is take them from their room or their living room or the toilet if they're reading there to somewhere far, far away, and it's doing a good job of doing that.
Give them a break from their current reality.
Yeah. But even before this coronavirus, it was still really important to have kids reading good, fun, just fun books that they look forward to going, oh, I wonder what's going to happen next. And then they sit and go, and that's what we're trying to do with Stephen Michael King, is just do adventure after adventure after adventure. And then it ends, and then there's another book, and you go, yob.
Yeah, and then the next story. So it's really good. I love it. Do you have a favourite author for junior books and for adult books?
Adults, I'm really keen on Tim Winton because I love the way he writes, especially Cloud Street. I must have read that 7 or 8 times. And for junior books, I'll be honest, I don't read much in the junior book section because I'm writing it, and I hate the idea of reading something and thinking that's a good idea, or I've already done something like that, or have someone else's idea fall into my idea. So I'm quite careful to not be reading stuff that I could be using later, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. You don't really want to be accused of stealing ideas or anything.
Yeah, because one day I was in a shop and I was reading an Andy Griffith's book, and there was something about a motorbike ride, and it was absurd, and I just went, holy cow, I think I'm just writing this at the moment. So I just went, okay, well, that's it, I'll stop. But it doesn't mean I don't sort of dip in from time to time, and there's so many great writers at the moment, in the last, since we were kids, when there was Enid and the Fabulous Five and not much else. Now there's just, it's so broad and it's so vast. It's a great time to be a young reader.
It is. It's an awesome time. There's so many new books every day. We get a ton of new books in the library, so I'd agree. When you're writing, what is your process? How do you start a story? How do you start your writing process?
Well, look, all I've written lately is this pirate series, Atticus Fantasticus. So that I literally go, I had the first part was the idea. So I heard a podcast about a gentleman pirate in the 1700s, and he had stacks of money, and he went down to the docks and goes, see that boat? I'd like that boat, and I want you, and you as part of my crew. And then he went sailing and pirating, and he was terrible at it. And I thought, what if that was a kid? So that was the first idea. Then in a writing process, I go, okay, so I've got the kid here, and then he's got it, and the boat's here. He's got to somehow get the boat. So I worked that out. So he gets it from his grandmother. Then he's got to get the boat from home all the way to the docks, and then there's got to be a few challenges on the way. So then he gets to the dock, chooses his crew. Hang on a second. So he chooses his crew. I'm coming back. So because it's live. So he chooses his crew, and I'm going and then I just started with names, right? And then Stephen did this fantastic thing of having the crew, having a crew page, so you can sit there and go, oh, right, so this is the very start. And so there's, Magic Harry, who could be a bit like Harry Potter. Princess Muscles, 2 times, Stink Eye, Butt Face, Mullet. So Mullet sings, Hog Breath, he's got stinky breath. So everywhere he goes, someone offers him a mint. Would you like a mint? So now I've got a kid, I've got Atticus, I've got a boat, and I've got his family. And now I can pretty much make anything happen. So off they go together and have adventures. So the process is get a family together, which happens in every book. They always get, a bunch of people around them. And then they go and have adventures. And then when I'm actually doing the writing, I act stuff out. I literally walk around the house going, I'm telling you, that's not how you make a pirate ship. If you want to fix a hole in that boat, if you want to... And then as I'm doing it, I'm sitting there going, and write it down. It's pretty stupid. So I generally do it in a room by myself where no one has to listen or watch.
Fair enough.
That's
I'm
how
sure
it
your
works.
family is used to it.
Yeah, I think they are.
God love them. Okay, so are you strict with your writing? Do you have to get a certain amount done every day, or do you just let it all flow out?
I'm not strict, Amy. If it's not coming out for me, then I'll leave it unless I have a deadline. And then deadlines are really important because they seem to make you actually get there on
And do
time.
it?
Yeah, and do it.
Yeah.
So you sit there and go, oh my God, I've got to have this by such and such. And I don't know why that is, but deadlines seem to work. But yeah, if it's not working, I'll leave it. And if it is working and it's working well, then I'll just really give myself a hard time and just look. It's not even a hard time. Like, think about it. I'm talking about, a kid, a kid in a boat. He sails up to an island. There's a guy there by himself who looks a lot like Donald Trump, who's called Captain Trumpty, and he's got
I
a
love it.
treasure. And and you go, what would Trump's treasure be? And you go, oh, of course, golden wigs. So he's got a treasure of golden wigs, and it's actually fun. It's fun to do. And in this one, in the second one, there's Vikings, and I know Vikings don't exist at that time, but there's one called Benny Bloodaxe and Bjorn Ironhead, and their wives are Anna and Agnetha, and they can sing really well. And there's a guy in the crow's nest called Fernando, and so you just put it all together. So there's jokes for us, and there's definitely jokes for the kids. So
Oh, it sounds awesome. I can't wait to read it. That would be awesome. So we sort of touched on that you're flexible when you're writing. And do you have your own special little space or an area in the house that you like to write, or is it somewhere different?
It changes all the time. I've got one special spot when it's available, which is like a sort of it's weird. It's a spot above the garage, and I've got like a window sort of this much. If I stand on tippy toes like this, I can see a little bit of ocean over here. So I like it up there when I can get it. Otherwise, I just go to the kitchen table or sit right where I am now, which is the kitchen bench, like literally here. And so I got the teapot. I always have tea, and I might have a biscuit or something, and just knock it away. And then I've got a backyard where I can go and walk around and do acting out my lines if I have to.
Sounds like a lot of fun. Where do you get your inspirations for your stories?
Look, they come in strange times and strange ways. I've just finished a picture book, so I have no idea. I've done the words for it, and I was at my parents' house, and we're looking at just it was an old cartoon that Mum found somewhere that I think her father had given her of a kid in a puddle. And I just went, God, remember how fun puddles were and how fun simple things are and were. So that sort of gave me the idea to write. So I just sat down and quickly punched something out about just simple things. But I remember I was saying goodnight to my son one night, and he said, tell me a story with your mouth. And I couldn't think of one. So I said, I'll say goodnight to your feet. And he goes, goodnight, feet. And I said, say goodnight to your knees. And he goes, night, knees. And that became a book called Goodnight Me.
Yeah.
And then my younger daughter, the one who's doing study at the moment, she used to say when she was 2 all the time, I do it. So like you'd get her a glass of milk and she'd grab the milk bottle and she'd go, I do it. And that became a book called I Do It. So different
Yes, that's
moments.
one of our favourites.
Yeah, different moments create different opportunities. And the thing is for your writers, for kids and parents, some things will happen in a day and they'll go, God, that'd be a good story. And they should just write it down on a piece of paper and slide it in their back pocket, because those ideas come and go all day long. And once they go, they rarely come back. Later you go, oh, God, what was that idea I had? Do you remember that? And they're gone. So I did learn a long time ago, when I'm looking for an idea, to actually carry a pad and write stuff down. And
Write it down.
Yeah.
It's a good tip. I have to keep doing that. I saw on Facebook that you're part of Little Scribes.
Yeah, Little
Could you tell us
Scribes.
a little bit about that and how that came about?
Yeah, Little Scribe is terrific. So that's an online writing program. So it's perfect for now. It's just funny how things work out. But the idea is that authors like me, or Oliver Pomeran, or Jackie French, we co-write with kids. So we'll give you the start to the story, and then we'll do a video, not unlike this one,
Yeah.
and say, here's the first line, and then here's why I would have this as a second line, and I wonder what could happen next, and sort of give some writing tips on how we sort of create things. Just looking around, making lists of what could be next, doing trick things like, they're doing that like the character page and things like that to go, all right, now if I make a list of characters, so just have a thing, and you might put names on them or whatever, or, draw funny faces, just little ideas to help you further the story. And in the end, and it could go for, like schools can do it, so it's all attached to the curriculum. They'll have a book at the end of it, so either a digital version or a physical version that can get posted back. So it's actually co-authored with an Australian author, and you'll be published and have a book to show mum and dad and your teachers and your grandparents. So I think it's actually a really lovely idea, which is why I'm part of it. I love it. I really love it.
No, it looked like you got a lot of people watching it this morning, so that was really good.
Yeah, that was fun, wasn't it? And then Oliver's doing tomorrow, so yeah, it's good. It's fun.
No, it should be really good. Well, yeah, thank you very much. I think I've answered all the questions, but yeah, thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate you coming and having a chat. So it's really
my pleasure.
nice.
It's my
Excellent.
absolute pleasure, Amy. So best of luck, and I hope everything's going all right for you up there.